Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Midwest Sound, an Indiana show choir podcast all about the show choir scene in Indiana. So, as always, we are brought to you by Homeroom Show Choir. Go give them a look. They're really interesting. They have tons of articles posted. They have rankings for choirs in each state. So if you're interested in that and you want to see where your choir falls in the state, it's really cool. I do help rank, so for the state of Indiana at least. So it's not anything super official, but it is ranked by some pretty well-educated individuals on the show choir scene. So it's pretty truthful in my opinion. But other than that, also go check out the Instagram account for Midwest Sound. If you haven't, I do post on there sometimes. And then also the new YouTube account for Midwest Sound. If you look up the podcast, it should just be there. It's like the only thing. But I decided to start posting on YouTube just because it's a little bit more accessible, especially for people that don't have Spotify, and it's free. So yeah, just if you haven't subscribed there, go ahead. And also let your friends know about the podcast, or message me and let me know your reviews. It's super interesting and fun to hear what you guys think about the podcast. So yeah, let me know. Other than that, a quick overview for today. We had 3 competitions in Indiana this weekend. We had the Carroll Classic, the Fisher Silver Spotlight Show Choir Invitational, and the Southmont Show Choir Invitational. And let me just say, some crazy stuff happened. Not anything super unexpected, but interesting and super telling for the season. Also, this weekend, we have 4 upcoming competitions. We have Homestead, Plainfield, Chesterton, and Pike, which are all really big competitions. We have tons of schools from out of the state coming in this weekend, so it's looking to be super exciting and really competitive. Lots of finals going on, lots of big schools going head to head. I believe it's Carmel's first time competing for the season, so definitely a weekend to look out for. Probably one of the biggest competition weekends for Indiana, at least, of the season. So that is a quick overview, and as always, I hope you guys enjoy the episode. So, this past weekend, as I said, we had 3 competitions, and today I'm going to be beginning with the Carroll Classic. So, the Carroll Classic did not have finals. It was a one-and-done competition, which honestly, probably for the best, because they had a decent amount of groups competing here. So, I'm going to go ahead and begin with the large mixed division. In first place, with Best Visuals and Best Crew, was Franklin Central FC Singers. In second place, with Best Vocals and Best Band, was Lafayette Jeff First Edition. And in third was Northrop Charisma. So, Franklin Central FC Singers, this was kind of what I predicted, but they did lose a caption. They lost Best Vocals, which, if you don't know, Franklin Central is probably more so known for their vocals than their choreo. Not that their choreography is bad, it's just that it's not very standout, especially for a group their size. Normally, if you're that large, your vocals are kind of what sticks out to most people. But to see them drop a vocal caption to Lafayette Jefferson, who, if you didn't know, Lafayette Jeff is considered a small school, probably medium if you had to divide it into 3 divisions, but normally small. I believe they have about 30, maybe a little bit more students in their group this year. They kick butt. I believe their director is Mark Myers, and if you don't know who he is, he's a pretty big figure in the show choir world. So he is doing great things for Lafayette Jeff. They have a great history. I've talked about them before last year, but they're really cool if you look up their past shows, especially in the 80s and 90s. There's a lot to dig into there. But they took Best Vocals from Franklin Central, which is a huge feat. So, congrats to Lafayette Jeff. I cannot wait to watch a video of their performance. I heard that it was stellar. And I just cannot wait to see what else they do for the rest of the season. So that is about it for large mixed. In small mixed, first place with Best Vocals went to Buckeye Valley Visions. Second place went to Whiteland Community Rhythm Masters. And third place with Best Visuals / Best Choreo And Best Band went to Columbia City City Heat. Fourth place went to Jay County Patriot Edition. Fifth with Best Crew went to DeKalb Classic Connection. Sixth went to Anderson Singers Unlimited. Seventh went to Bishop Luers Minstrels. Eighth went to Norwell Night Moves. Ninth went to Crestview Night Vision. And 10th went to Anderson Prep Vocal Velocity. So, let's break this down a little bit. So, first place with Best Vocals went to Buckeye Valley Visions. So they are actually an Ohio group. I'm actually looking at a picture of their group right now, and it looks like they have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16 girls, and they have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 males in their group. Maybe 9. So not very many people in this choir, and to see them be a group like Whiteland or Jay County normally has a much larger amount of people in their choir than many other small schools, is really exciting. And to see them travel to a different state, I'm sure they're very, very happy that they were able to take first at this competition. Whiteland community, strong as ever. They did really well last weekend, and I talked about them a little bit, but it's really cool to see them maintaining that consistency, taking second. They did not take a caption, which is interesting because they were in second, but that just means that they were about even on vocals and choreo. Third place going to Columbia City City Heat. They are relatively a very small group, and it's really cool to see them place this high. I mean, it's just super exciting to see some of these competitions maintaining consistency in judging, especially for smaller groups that it is sometimes there's a little bit of a bias, or maybe not necessarily a bias, just it's harder for certain judges to correctly or fairly judge smaller groups, just because it is harder to compare a group of 15 to a group of, say, 28 to 35. I mean, it's very different. You're talking groups double the size of each other. So it is cool to see some of these smaller groups that maybe normally do get a little bit of the harsher end of a judge's scoring just because they're smaller. It's cool to see them placing in spots that are maybe more truthful to their performances. But yes, Columbia City City Heat, that is really exciting. Jay County, which normally I kind of expected them to place a little bit higher, but it is cool to see, as I said, some of these other schools placing higher. I am excited to see a video of their show because normally they have really cool show concepts. DeKalb, who has been known over the last 2 years of they're in a really good spot right now, and they've just been improving, and they're a very classic show choir. This year they have a little bit more of a not necessarily story show, but definitely a little bit more of a creative concept to their show theme. They took 5th place, which is very fun, and Best Crew. And then some of these other schools, I am surprised to see Norwell place so low, but, they are very small. So now onto the large treble division. First place with Best Visuals and Best Crew went to Franklin Central High Voltage. Second with Best Vocals went to Cathedral Irish Adrenaline. And third with Best Band went to Northrop Allure. This is pretty expected. Then in the small treble division, first place with Best Vocals, Best Choreography, Best Band, and Best Crew went to Anderson Starlighters. Second went to Columbia City City Lights. Third with Best Crew went to Jay County Just Treble. And then there are no placements for the last 3 groups, which were New Prairie Sing Sensation, Norwell Night Stars, and Whiteland Community Expressions. So I, unfortunately, have not really seen any of these groups in person, so I don't have a ton to say about them, but it is really cool to see, say, a group like Anderson take all the captions, especially in the treble division, just because their mixed group, when I'm looking here, they took 6th in the mixed division, but they were able to take 1st in the treble division, which is really cool and exciting. I'm sure the students in that group were very happy. The second competition I'm going to talk about is the Fisher's Silver Spotlight Show Choir Invitational. I know, a mouthful. This competition actually was a 2-day event. They had the small division go on a Friday night, and then they had the medium and large division go on Saturday. So I'm going to begin with the small division. In the small mixed division, Grand champion with best visuals went to Bloomington Beat Amplitude. First runner-up with best vocals and best band went to Warren Central Connection. Second runner-up with best crew went to Anderson Singers Unlimited. And third runner-up went to Greenfield Central Legacy. Then in the small treble division, first place with best visuals went to Warren Central Highlights. Second place with best vocals went to Anderson Starlighters. And third place with best band went to Franklin Community Legacy. I'm going to start with the medium mixed division. First place with best vocals went to Ben Davis Premiers. Second place with best band went to Columbus North Vocal Point. Third place with best visuals went to Pendleton Heights Pendletones. And then some unplaced groups were Center Grove Surround Sound and Franklin Community Heritage Singers. Then in the medium treble division, first with best vocals and best visuals went to Pendleton Heights Emerald Suites. Second with best band went to Center Grove Accents. And third, with no captions unfortunately, went to Franklin Community Sensations. Also, two unplaced groups were Ben Davis Sounds and Noblesville Sensation. Then finally, in the large mixed division, grand champion with best vocals, best visuals, and best costumes went to Center Grove Surround Sound. First runner-up went to Noblesville NHS Singers. Second runner-up went to Lawrence North Legacy. And third runner-up went to Lawrence Central Sound. Then in the large treble division, first place with best vocals, best visuals, and best costumes went to Center Grove Debtones. Second place went to Lawrence North Bella Bravada. Third with best band went to Noblesville New Dimension. And then two unplaced groups were Lawrence Central Suites and Columbus North North Stars. So, a lot to unpack here. Let's begin with the small division. Since there are three, it's actually kind of nice that it's divided up that much, but grand champion went to Bloomington Beat Amplitude. Yay! So Bloomington Beat is actually from the town where I live, so I'm really excited to see them be able to take grand champion, especially best visuals. They are so good in their choreography, and it's super fun to watch them. They are very small, but they're very interesting to watch. And I'm just so happy for them. Warren Central Connection, they are always just, they can dance, let me tell you. But it's really cool to see them take that best vocal caption, because I feel like normally I expect them to have maybe better choreography. So it's cool to see them there. Then in the medium mixed division, this is where some crazy stuff happened. Ben Davis Premiers took first. I actually think I said I could have seen it going to Pendleton, Columbus, or Ben Davis, and I'm not necessarily surprised that it went to Ben Davis just because they've consistently been getting better over the last couple years, and they're just so powerful. Even though they're not the largest group, I'm not saying that they're tiny, but they aren't huge, they're so fun to watch. I love their show themes, I love how they dance, I just love everything about it. They are so powerful in their vocals, and it's just, I love watching them. So I'm really excited that they got best vocals at this competition and took first. Columbus North Vocal Point, second place. Yay! So Columbus North, as you know, they have just been upsetting the predictions and just placing a lot higher than people would expect them to this entire season. They've had a really, really good season. So it is so cool to see them take second here, not because like, oh, it's second place, but because they placed above Pendleton Heights Pendletones. Pendleton is consistently a very, very strong group in the small division. And yes, they did compete in the medium division here. Doesn't really matter. They're going against groups that normally compete in small. And it's crazy to see them take third. They did take best visuals, which their choreography is usually pretty good. They are choreographed by Eric Hayes and Mara Cover, or Mara Co at this point now. But I just think it's so cool to see some of these other groups slowly rise, I guess, in their divisions, and some of the groups that maybe have been dominating these divisions, see them kind of take a back seat for a hot second, you know? It does get a little repetitive and predictable when groups like Roncalli, like you expect them to win, you know? Even at Edgewood this last weekend, placing first, it's like, oh, well, just another win for Roncalli, like, you know, they're ego. I wouldn't necessarily say their ego. They are really good, but they just keep placing above these groups, you know, and it's like, when is someone else going to do it? And it's really, really cool to see maybe a group like Pendleton fall back a little bit. Not that it's always their fault, but than to see a group like Columbus North that historically isn't the best group, not that they're bad, but to see them placed above Pendleton, this is so cool. I'm glad to see stuff like this over time happening. And Ben Davis, I just love them, and I'm so happy for them. Looking at the large division, Center Grove taking all the captions, not super surprising, but I did hear that the points were pretty close in this division specifically. And that leads me to believe that Center Grove is not at a place that they normally are. And I have heard from some people that have watched them that it's not their favorite year of Center Grove's, and it's not even like the theme of their show. Like, their theme is Phantom of the Opera, and I think that's so cool. But I think choreographically they are okay, but vocally I think they are definitely not at a spot that they normally are. I think they have a little ways to go to get there, and they have time. They have plenty of time, but it is really interesting to see a group like Noblesville or Lawrence North place super close to Center Grove, Noblesville, you'll know my thoughts. This year specifically, I think their theme is fun. It's just, it is, it's about a high school romance, so it's like, same old kind of. And then Lawrence North, I actually did go to their preview night this last week. So Lawrence North Legacy, their theme is Night at the Museum, and it's so cool. It's so fun. I really, really like the medleys that they do throughout their show, and I think it's just super interesting. I really like the first half of their show. The last half kind of slows down a little bit, and it wasn't necessarily for me, but first half, super fun. But it's just super cool to see some of these, as I said earlier, it's fun to see groups shifting around a little bit. It's not like it always has been, and that's bound to happen over time, groups get better, groups get worse, and I'm just excited to see it happening now, So this is really cool, but it's very telling for this upcoming weekend, and I will get there in a second. So the final competition that took place this last weekend was the Southmont Show Choir Invitational. They did have large mixed finals, small mixed finals, large treble finals, and small treble finals, and they unfortunately do not have prelim placements, so I am just going to go through the finals placements, and then I'll just tell you what groups didn't make it to finals. So I'm going to begin with the large treble division. In finals, grand champion with best vocals, best band, and best show concept went to North Central Counterpoints. First runner-up with best choreography went to Avon Accents, and second runner-up went to Plainfield Ballet Beau. In the large mixed division, the groups that didn't make it to finals were Homestead Classe Royale and Pike Encores. So that is super interesting. Now, I did predict that North Central would take first. It is interesting to see them lose a caption, though, specifically the best choreography caption to Avon. Avon had a really good year last year, and it's cool to see them continuing that streak, and maybe we'll see more from them in this next weekend. Plainfield taking third, not necessarily surprising, but telling. Then, in the small mixed finals, grand champion with best vocals and best choreography went to Mooresville Spotlighters. First runner-up went to Churubusco New Era, and second runner-up went to Danville Delegation. So, in the small mixed division, the groups that didn't make it to finals, and this is a lot, are Garrett Encore, Lebanon Charisma, Owen Valley, The Valley Sound Waves, Monrovia Shooting Stars, East Noble Night Rhythms, Edgewood Music Warehouse, and Beech Grove Jubilaires. So, I do know that Music Warehouse did place fourth in prelims, that just because, obviously, that's where I went to school, repping it right now, but it's interesting, specifically, to see Mooresville taking grand champion. Mooresville has always had really cool show concepts and very interesting show designs, I guess. I remember one year, I believe, maybe my freshman year, they had this Newsies-ish theme. It was so cool, but it's really exciting to see them beat some of these groups because they've kind of been in hiding over the last couple of years. Just you haven't really heard much from them. But now, taking Grand Champion and both captions, I'm excited to see what else they have in store for the rest of the season. Churubusco New Era, very exciting. Churubusco is a Fort Wayne school, and last year when I watched them, they were so fun. They had a really cool show theme, so exciting for them. And then Danville. Danville has also kind of been in hiding. Haven't heard much from them for a while, and to see them take third is really exciting, especially later when I talk about the small treble finals. So first, I got to talk about the large treble finals. Grand champion with best vocals went to North Central Deskins. First runner-up with best choreography went to Avon Attraction, and second runner-up went to Plainfield Femme Fatale. Very interesting to see them actually mirror the large mixed division, and even more interesting to see the captions mirrored as well. North Central, again, taking best vocals, and Avon, again, taking best choreography. Obviously, we can see what they are doing well this year. In the large treble division, the groups that didn't make it were Homestead Elite and Pike Mystiques. And then finally, for the small treble finals, the grand champion with best vocals and best choreography was Mooresville Finesse. First runner-up was Danville Contemporaries, and second runner-up was Edgewood Sophisticated Ladies. So, again, very interesting. The groups that didn't make it to finals, it was just one group. It was East Noble Premier Edition. Very interesting to see that Mooresville swept both small divisions. Is this a comeback for Mooresville? I hope. I really like Mooresville. And again, to see Danville taking that second place spot, we are just seeing so many of these groups that maybe normally don't have the best sort of competition season. We're seeing so many of these groups getting their first grand champions of the season, like, super early. And I just think it's so like exciting, and I'm sure the students in these groups are excited as well because this is just such a good start to their season. So yes, that was the Southmont Show Choir Invitational, very many finals, and for this upcoming weekend, we have 4 competitions. So let me tell you about them. Now that I have went over all of the competitions that took place this last weekend, let's talk about this upcoming weekend. A pretty crazy, very interesting competition weekend. So there are 4 competitions. I am going to begin with the Homestead Classic Showcase. This competition, I believe, has 5 large mixed finalists, 6 small mixed finalists, 3 large treble finalists, and 2 small treble finalists, or this is at least what's happened over the last 2 years, and I think they're going to follow this again. I have looked at their competition website, and I couldn't find anything, so I'm not 100% sure on this, but we'll see. I do know that they have finals. So, in the large mixed division, there will be Northridge Northern Lights, ETC All-Americans, Huntington North Varsity Singers, Lafayette Jefferson First Edition, Fisher's Electrum, and Edgewood Corollaires. In the small mixed division, there will be Fisher's Rogue, DeKalb Classic Connection, Garrett Encore, Churubusco New Era, Fairfield Fusion, Columbia City City Heat, Warren Central Connection, Ross Legacy, J County Patriot Edition, North Royalton Royal Harmony, Ravenswood Rave Review, Nitro Showcats, and Herbert Hoover High Impact. In the large treble division, there will be Huntington North Viking Volume, ETC Rouge, J County Just Treble, Northridge Starlights, Lafayette Jefferson Expressions, and Fisher's Sound. And then in the small treble division, there will be Columbia City City Lights, Fairfield Expressions, Southmont Sudden Impulse, and Warren Central Highlights. So, a very jam-packed competition. They have so many groups competing. I think they have something like 23 mixed groups and then like 10 or 11 treble groups. It's crazy. This is a lot. And the fact that they're going to be done with prelims by 5 p.m., praying for them. But, so, I think grand champion at this competition. So, people in the running. I think the groups that have the best shot are ETC, Lafayette Jeff, and Fishers. So, we saw that Lafayette Jeff took best vocals from Franklin Central this last weekend. That means that they are smashing it out of the park with vocals. Like, they have to be. So, I don't know if that's going to carry them far enough to outplace a group like Fishers or Huntington North or ETC. This is sort of an off year for ETC, so I actually don't think that they're going to take first at this competition. I could see ETC taking second or even third. It really is dependent on some of these other schools. Groups like Huntington North, they are normally on the larger end. Not that they're the best schools in the state, but they are consistently pretty good. A group like Lafayette Jeff, if they're very, very consistent and exact on their vocals, I could see them taking second. And Fisher's Electrum, this I believe is their first weekend competing, so it'll be really cool to see their show, just because last year they had a really fun theme, and I'm excited to see like what's going to be going on. Also, they do have a free live stream as far as I know, so I will be tuning in. But yeah, I'm just thinking, as of right now, if Fisher's is similar to last year, I think they could take this competition. ETC, not always at the level that they are. They could be taking second, but like I said, Lafayette Jeff, with the vocals that I've heard from them, they could easily slide into second, ETC third, Huntington North fourth even. I don't know. It's going to be really cool to see, but I do think that Fishers is going to take this competition, and I do think that Lafayette Jeff is going to be top 3, just because of the things I've heard from them. In the small mix division, this is a pretty difficult decision. I could see Churubusco. Churubusco did, I believe, outplace Jay County this last weekend, so could be Churubusco. North Royalton has been pretty good this last year, so I could see them taking it. I don't know a ton about Ravenswood or Nitro or Herbert Hoover, so this is going to be a really exciting division. There's so many groups in this division, so the fact that they're taking 6 small mixed, if they are taking 6 small mixed finalists, it's going to be cool to see them battle it out. But that is about it for the Homestead competition. The next competition I'm going to talk about is the Plainfield Quaker Classic Invitational. Yes, historically, one of my favorite named competitions. Just Quaker Classic, like, that's so fun. I love it. I do believe that this competition will have finals, just because in the past they have. I am unsure of how many finalists are going to be taking. The past couple years it's been different, and it doesn't say anything on their event website, so I'm actually not super sure. But let me go ahead and read off the divisions. In the large mixed division, there will be Avon Accents, Castle Night Sensations, Lawrence Central Central Sound, and Lawrence North Legacy. In the small mixed division, there will be Danville Community Varsity Voices, Batesville Singers, Monrovia Shooting Stars, Burris Parliament Sound, Beech Grove Jubilaires, Owen Valley The Valley Soundwaves, Austin Dimensions, Roncalli Royal Rhapsody, and New Palestine Crimson Heat. In the large treble division, there will be Lawrence North Bella Bravada, Lawrence Central Suites, Westfield Illumination, Avon Attraction, Noblesville Sensation, and Castle Nightingales. And then in the small treble division, there will be Cathedral Irish Adrenaline, Southside Soundwaves, New Palestine Diamond Sensations, and New Prairie Sing Sensation. So, lots of small schools that are pretty well known in the division, I would say. But something I really want to highlight is we have an Austin Dimensions comeback. Yay! I love Austin Dimensions. Like, they're so fun. Unfortunately, their director did step down. I believe it was right before the competition season last year, or at the beginning of the school year. They unfortunately didn't have a group. They didn't compete last year. But to see it being brought back, yes, I'm so excited. Edgewood and Austin have a pretty good relationship normally, so I'm so excited to see them come back. And I'm hoping that this lasts and hopefully it grows for them. I hope their program can make a comeback. It's so exciting, and to see them competing in a pretty large small mixed division. Large small mixed, I know. But to see them competing against so many groups is really exciting. And I'm just excited to see how they place against some of these groups, especially a group like Batesville, or we've got Roncalli. Roncalli is probably going to dominate the division, unfortunately. But some of these other groups like New Palestine or Monrovia, it'll be cool to see where they place. And just because they do flip-flop every now and then. Every other year, maybe they'll move a place up or a place down, and it'll be cool to see how these groups are doing this year specifically. I do think Grand Champion is going to go to Avon Accents just because they had a really good weekend this past weekend, but there's always Castle. Castle's pretty good. It is their first weekend out competing, I believe, so it'll be cool to see how they are starting off the competition season. But normally they're pretty solid, and they score pretty well on a score sheet. Lawrence Central Sound, they're usually pretty good. It's a little bit harder for them to compete in the large division just because they are, on average, smaller than a large group. And then Lawrence North Legacy, they placed below Avon this past weekend. So it's not going to be surprising to see if Avon places above them again. But that is it for the Plainfield competition. Moving on to the third competition of the weekend. This is the Chesterton Trojan Classic. This is the competition that is bringing in tons of groups from out of the state. It's going to be really, really cool to watch. And unfortunately, I don't know if there's a live stream, but keep an eye out for some of these groups because this is a very, very large culmination. They have 2 venues running, so that's why they're able to fit so many. They are going to have finals. They're going to take 5 large mixed finalists, 5 small mixed finalists, 3 large treble finalists, and 3 small treble finalists. Sorry, it's really, really hard to read that out loud. But so they are going to have a lot of finals. But let me go ahead and read you the divisions. In the large mixed division, there will be Oswego Commotion, Northrop Charisma, Gretna Revolution, Wabaunsee Valley Soundcheck, Cosby Spotlight, Franklin Central FC Singers, Wheaton North Flight, Brandon Brio, Carroll Magic, and Carmel Ambassadors. In the medium mixed division, there will be Pendleton Heights Pendletones and Gretna Evolution. And then in the small mixed division, there will be Triton Junior Senior High School Rhythmic Revolution, Wawasee Warrior Soundscapes, Twin Lakes Soundwave, Belmont Brave Generation, Columbus East Center Stage, and Bloomington Beat Amplitude. In the large treble division, there will be Northrop Allure, Cosby Rhapsody, Brandon Bellas, Carroll Select Sound, Franklin Central High Voltage, and Carmel Accents. In the medium treble division, there will be Wabaunsee Valley Resonance, Brownsburg Bella Voce, and Pendleton Heights Emerald Suites. And then in the small treble division, there will be Mother Macaulay Mac Melody. A lot of groups, I know. So let's go ahead and dig into it. As I said, they're taking very many finalists, so it'll be cool to see who makes it to finals. But let's talk about it. So we have Oswego Commotion. This group is from Illinois. Then we have Northrop Charisma, an Indiana group. Then we have Gretna Revolution, a Nebraska group. Yep, Nebraska. Then we have Wabaunsee Valley Soundcheck, also an Illinois group. Then we have Cosby Spotlight, which is a Virginia group. Yep, Virginia. They are coming from all over. Then we have Franklin Central, which is an Indiana group. Then we have Wheaton North Flight, which is from Illinois again. Then we have Brandon Brio, which is from Mississippi. Yep, we got some South. And then we have Carroll Magic, who's from Indiana, and then also Carmel, who's from Indiana. Then we have, I'm trying to look at this. We have Gretna Evolution, which is their JV, and then we have many other small groups that are from around Indiana and also just Indiana in general. So lots and lots of schools coming from out of the state. This is, I would say, mostly due to the fact that the Chesterton director does an amazing job of reaching out to other schools, especially at SCA. So I think that's how they get so many groups from out of the state to attend. Also, it's just hosted so well, and I think that just draws a lot of people in. So, there's a lot to talk about. So, some groups that I could see, because they are going to be taking 5 large mixed finalists. Some groups that I could see making it to finals are Gretna Revolution, Cosby Spotlight, that's 2, Franklin Central FC Singers, Brandon Brio, Carroll Magic, or Carmel Ambassadors. Also, Wheat North Flight. So there is a lot that could happen. I'm just going to throw my hat in the ring, and I'm going to say that Grand Champion is going to go to Carmel. Just because Carmel is consistently really good, especially on their first weekend out. They always just come out the gate like looking pretty good already. So I could see Carmel doing a really, really good job at this competition. But then we have a group like Brendan Brio, who consistently improves a lot from prelims to finals. We have Carroll Magic, who is just getting better and better every year. They have a really, really cool show this year. It's circus themed. We have Wheat North Flight. They are pretty good as well. Franklin Central FC Singers, also a really, really good group. They can sing. And some of these other groups I don't even know a ton about, just because I'm more akin to the Indiana circuit, I guess, and they are not, a lot of these groups aren't from Indiana, so it's going to be really, really cool. I'm going to go ahead and say that the 5 finalists are going to be, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and predict it in order too. Why not? I'm going to say Carmel in first. Yeah, Carmel in first. I think second, Franklin Central. But only if they're like on their A game with their vocals, okay? Third, Gretna Revolution. Why not? I think fourth could be Carroll Magic if they compete well. Fifth, Brendan Brio. And if I had to have a sixth just on standby, then I would say Cosby Spotlight. That's my guess. Why not? You know? So, yeah, I think really anything could happen. It's a huge weekend. So many people traveling into the state. And I don't know. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. I do think in the small division, like small mixed division, Pendleton might take it. But honestly, after this last weekend that they had, they took third. So maybe it'll be a driving force to make them want to compete better, and maybe they will improve over this next week, or maybe they truly just aren't having the best year. I don't know. So I truly don't know what's going to happen in this small division. So that's about it for the Chesterton Trojan Classic. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the final competition of the weekend, which is the Pike Music Fest. I will be here. I will be at this competition. So if you guys want to come say hi, I'll probably be wearing my Midwest Sound sweatshirt and probably repping my, hold on, I'm going to show you guys, my Midwest Sound friendship bracelet. Get ready. It's so cute. Genuinely, like, I'm still wearing it. I've been wearing it all week since last weekend. But, yeah, if you see me, say hello. I'd love to say hi. I'd love to give you guys, I have stickers. That's an incentive. I do have stickers. And I'd love to just talk about show choir, because that's one of my favorite things, you know? But let's go ahead and move on to this. So Pike Music Fest, I do think that they're going to take 4 mixed and 4 treble finalists. I'm unsure on that. This is just what they've done in the past couple years. So I'm just going to guess that's what they're doing. But I am not totally sure. I can't find their event website, so I don't really know. But they have just 1 mixed and 1 treble division. It's all together. So in the mixed division, competing will be Edgewood Music Warehouse, North Central Counterpoints, Mooresville Nexus, Center Grove Sound System, Brown County Rhapsody, Kokomo Charisma Singers, Whiteland Community Rhythm Masters, Shelbyville Synergy, and Zionsville Royal Airs. Then in the treble division, there will be Whiteland Community Expressions, Mooresville Finesse, Center Grove Debtones, Zionsville Corollaires, Edgewood Sophisticated Ladies, North Central Deskins, and Westfield Illumination. Not a huge lineup, but definitely an exciting lineup, because Center Grove this last weekend, obviously, Noblesville was able to score pretty close to them. Noblesville isn't necessarily top 5, even in the state, you know? And then now we have a group like North Central, who scored really well this last weekend, and a group like Zionsville, who is normally top 5 along with North Central. It's going to be really, really interesting to see if Center Grove can pull this off. If they can improve enough in this next week to truly take Grand Champion, or if we are going to have a new reigning Indiana show choir. That would be genuinely so cool if a new school would take home the Grand Champion at this competition. I think it's so exciting, and it's going to be so interesting, and that is why I'm attending this competition. 1, because it's pretty close to me, but also 2, I just want to see who truly is the best in Indiana. because obviously we can't totally tell just because we have groups like Carmel competing at a different competition. I am hoping that Center Grove and Carmel meet up later in the season, but it's going to be really telling at this competition, especially if I can get a score sheet and I can see individual scores and see how close they are to each other. Ooh, I cannot wait. This is going to be a really, really cool competition, and it's going to be super, super telling and informative for the rest of the season. So I am thinking Center Grove grand champion, but I don't think they're going to sweep. I do think it's going to be a split caption of some sorts, and I think that Zionsville could take it depending on how clean they are at the beginning of their season, and I even could see North Central. Normally North Central isn't considered at the same level of Center Grove just because choreographically they can be a little messy sometimes, but genuinely I could see them taking a caption from Center Grove just because everything I've heard about Center Grove is that they aren't at the same level that they normally are. They are just not as good as normal, and who knows why, but I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. It's also cool, but also a little disheartening that it's just one mixed division, just because groups like Brown County or Kokomo or Whiteland or Shelbyville or Edgewood, those are small schools. Those are small groups. They are competing against groups like North Central and Center Grove and Zionsville. You know, it's kind of unfair because they're just automatically like going to be taking 4th or 5th. You know, it is a little sad, but it is how it is. Like I said, they are going to be taking 4-ish finalists. So a small school could make their way in there. I could definitely see a group like Whiteland taking that 4th spot. I think the 4 finalists are probably going to be North Central, Center Grove, Zionsville, and then Whiteland. And possibly Mooresville could take that 4th spot. Unsure. So we'll have to see. But this is a really exciting competition. You got to keep your eye out for it. I do not believe that there's a live stream, but it'll be really interesting, and I will let you guys know my thoughts next week on the podcast after I have watched all of these groups. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure you let your friends know about the podcast, and just bring as many people in as possible, just because, like, the more people that listen, the more people that reach out, let me know their opinions, the more that I can tailor the podcast to you guys. Also, if you guys are going to be at Pike and you happen to see me, come say hi. Don't be scared. I have stickers, like I said, and I'd love to get to know some of you guys and talk more about show choir. I mean, it's just so fun to meet you guys in person. And with that, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I hope your week is filled with show choir.